AI is going to be even bigger than it is now. My fear is that humans won't be part of the picture at all.
The Content Capitalist Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Content Capitalist Podcast. Today I have Jenna Larson with me, and I had a conversation with her a while back. And when we started talking about tech and sales and social media marketing, we're vibing on multiple levels. And I was like, you got to come on the show and you got to share how you are getting people from cold to sold using AI, using automations, using chats, using Facebook, Instagram, like all the stuff you're doing and bringing it together. I was like, this is way too good to not share. Jenna, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So Jenna, we're going to do a bit of the past, present, future kind of framework. So before we get into all the cool stuff you're doing now, and by the way, if anybody listening, if you are on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on LinkedIn, if you are anywhere on social media and you're there because you need to make money, you need to make sales, you need to get people into your coaching program, into your agency, into your courses. I don't know what it is, but if you're there for business purpose, then you're going to want to stick around for when she starts dropping bombs on how she is doing it with AI and automation and all the other cool stuff. But I'm going to make you listen to her backstory first, because I'm sure there's going to be some pretty cool stories there. Jenna, what were you doing before you got into anything to do with social media and sales?
So it is like the biggest accident of all time. So I was actually working in corporate and I had the best job, and I literally would get done by 11 o'clock, and I had been there for 10 years and they were like my family, But one day I was like, oh my gosh, I need to start a company. And so I literally went to my boss and I was like, hey, hate to break it to you, but I'm quitting and I'm going. And he was like, well, what the heck are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm literally just going to take everything I learned in the corporate world, and I'm going to teach online business owners how to do those things, because so much of kind of the like logistical and admin and the customer experience stuff isn't something that maybe they've learned. And so I started my first company, which was called Drive Performance Coaching, about 6 years ago, and it literally blew up. So basically what I was doing is taking everything I learned from corporate and teaching it and with those clients. But what accidentally started happening is that what I was teaching them was working really, really well, especially when it came to getting more clients and keeping those clients buying. And so we would teach really how to do that using a CRM or a follow-up system. And so at the time, we were using just kind of like a system that I had bootlegged. And the problem was that my clients were having so many conversations and so many leads and so many clients that we actually created another problem, which was that everywhere that we were putting that information in those CRMs wasn't actually working, because those people were hanging out in a different place than our actual clients were, which was social media. So I remember driving in the car one day and I was like, oh my God, I know what it is. We literally have to build the CRM where the clients are on social media. And so I called one of my clients who I was coaching. He had a different software company at the time. And I was like, Nate, you have to build a social media follow-up system. And he was like, it's impossible. There's no way, not going to happen. And he kind of like crushed my dreams, because honestly, in my head, I'm like, this is $1 million idea, like done, And so I was so excited, called him, crushed, right? So I kind of went on with my normal life. And then 2 weeks later, Nathan called me. He's like, Jenna, I did it. And I'm like, you did what, And he's like, I built the social media CRM. And so that's where GroupTrack was born, which is my company now. And it's so fun because we just celebrated our 4th birthday. We're actually about to relaunch the entire tool next week. And that same excitement has, continued to go through, where I'm like, Nate, I have this crazy idea, build it to do this and do this and do this based on all the feedback from our amazing clients. He's always like, no, it's impossible. And then 2 days later, he's like, oh my God, I did it. So it is just so fun. But we kind of joke that our $1 million company was an accident, like a really, really happy accident. But that's literally how it went.
That's how like all the home improvement things in our house happen. My wife is just like, we should do this. And I'm like, no. And then my brain just goes to work solving the problem that I said no to. And then somehow, a week later, it's like, honey, I did it. She's like, oh, great,
Right?
And I think that's just, it's what, I think that's what's really cool. What you mentioned there is like, even when people say no, and this has to do with sales, and this has to do with like team meetings and stuff. It doesn't mean no. It means that you planted a seed. Even if you know the person's going to say no, just freaking ask anyway, because you're planting seeds and now their brain is working. Whether or not they like it, their brain is activated in that direction. And you never know what that's going to turn into.
Yeah. We actually have a joke on our team because we've been in the redevelopment of the tool for the past year and a half. And every time we're on a conversation with developers and I have all these crazy ideas, they're always like, no. And my answer is always like, I don't like that answer. Let's try a different answer. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, we're so stuck sometimes in this mentality of like, it can't be done, or the person's going to say no, or whatever it may be. And I'm like, what if we come from a place of possibility? You know what I mean? It's like the harebrained ideas are the ones that usually are going to, give the biggest fruit. So it's all about just like asking and making it happen.
Or you could be like Steve Jobs and be just like, okay, who else? Who's next?
Right.
Once you get enough revenue, then you could do that.
Yeah, exactly. One day.
So how does this, you were starting and helping business owners, and the software became a thing that was helping them implement what you're training them. But now, what's that balance look like now between you coaching and doing what you're, the leadership and the training, to actually, marketing the software part? Are these two different companies, or are they the same?
No. So it's super interesting. So what ended up happening is that GroupTrack really started taking off. And so I actually closed my original business so that I could really focus on it. But the reality is, like, I'm a coach in my heart, you know what I mean? Whether it be business coaching, I actually used to coach rowing and former Olympians. And so like that is what brings me happiness. And so as we were kind of transitioning into the software company, we literally just brought the coaching. And so typically what we do is you can get the software alone, or you can get the software plus get into coaching with us, in which I'm really going to give you the strategies that we know are working, especially as the market changes and social media changes and all of those things. And so we can kind of give you both depending on what your needs are. And, we usually just kind of put it out there for whoever wants it and whoever needs it. But a lot of people come use our software. They already have strategy and maybe they just need the tool. But I kind of like am wearing all the hats, you know what I mean? Like CEO, coach, marketing, sales, like we're still in the thick of it. So it's definitely a balancing act, like really balancing.
So technically you're running a tech business, right?
Yeah.
A tech and AI, which is like the buzzword and the thing, that the sector of the world economy that's taking off faster than anything else. How does it feel being a tech entrepreneur?
It's bizarre. And like, not only the fact that, I run and own a SaaS company, but I'm also a woman, which, when you look and, we started kind of joining some programs and, really getting into that environment. And when you look around the room, there's not many of me, you know what I mean? It is a predominantly male industry. And so I kind of have a little badge of honor, right? Like not only do we own the SaaS, but we're representing women, and, it's really neat. 90% of our team is actually women. And so it's kind of really cool to just show up in that space. But there are times where I'm like, wait, me? I'm running a SaaS company? Like I'm in the software world? Like, well, what is actually happening? In what world is this a thing? But, I think that's kind of the excitement of like just saying yes to opportunities, like we said, and just being super open to like whatever is next. So it's been really cool.
Very cool. Now, going into this, what if somebody's thinking about starting a tech or, AI based business, what should they watch out for that you might have not thought of going into it?
Yeah, I think if we could have started over, and I don't even know if we could have avoided this or done it differently, but, when we first had our little idea, it was, I want to be able to track the people in my Facebook group. So what we started with was so small. And so the developer built off that one idea. And I think at the time, we were so naive. We didn't know if this would work. We didn't know if people would want it. We didn't realize the market demand. And so at the time, we kind of thought very small. And so we built the tool around this like very small idea. And so as we started getting all of these entrepreneurs that are 6, 7, 8 figures using our software, and they started coming with their crazy ideas as well as like, oh, it needs to do this, it needs to do this. What started to happen is we would build features upon kind of this one idea that wasn't as solid as we would have wanted it to be. We also built our tool on some technology that our developer at the time knew, but it wasn't something that was going to be sustainable. So here we are, 2 years into it, and we're like, wait a minute, some of the fundamental things that we built the foundation on are cracking. And so every time we would go to build new features, it was getting kind of buggy, and that was, an issue. And so we had to make the very, very expensive decision to say, you know what? We're going to rebuild the tool from the ground up. And so that's what we've been doing for the past 2 years. $400,000 later, we are literally rebuilding it and relaunching it next week. But I look back and I'm like, whether or not we could have foreseen that, I don't know. But I think it really comes down to this. We didn't actually have the belief at the time. It was kind of like, oh, sure, let's just do this. Let's see what happens. But, at the time we're like, wait, are we cool enough to run this really awesome software company? I don't think we really had that belief of like where we were going to have the foresight of what we needed to do to get there. So kind of hard, hindsight's always 20/20. But I would say for anybody who's looking to get into the tech, definitely choose the software and kind of the base of what you're going to build your entire business on wisely.
But it's also true that you just getting started, whether or not you have that long-term plan set, that might be more important than actually having that long-term plan. Because if you sat down with them and laid out your 10-year or 5-year plan even, I don't know if you'd have ever gotten started, because it would have taken so long to develop the framework for the version that you need now that you wouldn't have gained the momentum needed to, get excited and actually see some money coming in, potentially.
Absolutely. And I think honestly, like the naivete of starting a business and not knowing what is coming ahead is actually a really great place to be, because when you are so young in the business, you think everything's possible, and that's always the perspective I've come with is like, Nate, we need this crazy thing, go build this. And that's why he's always like, you're crazy. That's impossible. And I'm like, but is this possible? Like, I don't like that answer. I think let's look at it from a different angle. And, I think that really is kind of the magic of really being cutting edge. And, that's incredible because our tool really is the number one leader in the industry when it comes to AI and social CRMs. And you're right. I don't think if we had kind of looked back and been like, oh, let's do this the right way, we would have never done anything. I feel like it's always this idea that if you take the first step and you're willing to get your feet wet, the sea might actually part, But if you don't ever decide to get your feet wet and do that first piece of action, you may be sitting on the shore and the promised land could be right there on the other side, but you'll never know because you never tried.
Exactly. So you've been name dropping GroupTrack a few times, and let's talk about what it is. But first of all, I also want to say that on our last conversation, you mentioned that the name GroupTrack really, was talking about Facebook groups, and that now that you're expanding, you're considering a rebrand. Did that happen, or are we sticking with the GroupTrack?
Oh, the long story, yeah. So you're right? When we started GroupTrack, it was to track your Facebook group members. And like I said, because of just the amazing entrepreneurs that have, contributed really to our growth and our feature set, it now works on your personal profile on Facebook. It works in Facebook groups, in the DMs. It works on Instagram. Shortly after we do the launch, our next goal is to go to LinkedIn and then to school. And so, it is kind of funny because a lot of times when people hear the word GroupTrack, they think, oh, it just must work in Facebook groups. And that's not actually true. So we've talked about like, do we bite the bullet? Do we change the name? We have so much brand recognition. Every single thing, every sale we've ever made has been completely organic, zero ad spend. And so, we have a lot of proof in the pudding that, the brand recognition is there. And so as of right now, we're not going to actually change the name. We did do a little bit of a rebrand as we're relaunching the tool next week. So you'll see, a little bit more sophisticated look and colors and all that, but we are keeping the name. We still fight about it all the time though. Like, should we do it? Should we not, rip the Band-Aid off? When should we rip the Band-Aid off? But now we just tell people like, you're tracking groups of people. Does that work?
Oh, that works. That works.
I feel like groups. It does, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You could build something around that, like GroupTrack, but then you could start branding it like, this is the group conversion method, or the group authority, process. Getgrouped.com or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a stretch. It is a stretch. We're going to have to figure it out.
It's only a stretch until enough people start talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us, what is GroupTrack? who's it for, and what's the problem it solves?
Yeah. So basically, GroupTrack is a CRM or a follow-up system that integrates and lives on top of social media. So as I was mentioning kind of before, is when we started teaching our clients on how to find leads and how to talk to them and how to nurture them and how to convert them and how to keep them buying, you obviously need to put them in some sort of pipeline where you're able to track people through those stages and steps and process so that you know where people are and you don't lose anyone through the cracks. And so the problem with doing it with most of our clients, or most of the people who would want to look at GroupTrack, are entrepreneurs who are actually using social media as a mechanism to get leads and convert them into clients. And so you're showing up, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, and you're talking to people. And so without a system like GroupTrack, what you're going to have to do is either, number one, not track at all, which is not recommended, or number two, you're going to have to get a spreadsheet, which good luck, you're going to lose your mind, and I will tell you, like, we have 7 and 8 figure companies coming to us and they're like, look at my spreadsheets, this is a mess, which we're excited because we can fix that. Or what you're going to have to do is you're going to be on social media, copy and paste it into some other system that you're used to using, right? Like an email marketing system or something like that. And so the beautiful thing about GroupTrack is our CRM lives on top of Facebook and Instagram. So literally, if you see someone that you're like, oh my gosh, I think they're a good lead, you can literally hover over their name on whatever platform you're on and instantly add that to our system, which also integrates with big systems that a lot of people are using, like High Level, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, ClickFunnels, and so forth. And so really what we want to do is help you fill your funnel in those systems with leads from social media, while making sure that you're not losing people through the cracks, or like honestly spending millions of hours doing the things that we know you have to do anyways. And that's where really, I know we have talked about a lot, is that's where the AI is going to come into play. That's where automations and all sorts of features that GroupTrack has can really kind of help you do the things that we know you have to do on social media anyways to get clients, but just kind of accelerate it for you.
I get the software is great. And I think that anybody listening or watching, go down below, check it out. There'll be a link there. Let's talk about the messaging that actually gets people excited and enough to get into that GroupTrack in the first place, whether they're on Facebook or Instagram or where in LinkedIn, right? You posted something here. I'm going to read your post. Facebook groups aren't dead. Your old strategy is. What is the new strategy?
Oh my God, I love that. And by the way, if you read it the way I wrote it in my head, it's like, Facebook groups are not dead. Your old strategy is. Like, I'm actually yelling this at people. So just know, if you hear it, I'm like lovingly shaking everybody, right? And so here's the thing, right? In 2020, all you had to do was show up. You know what I mean? Like, the world was on pause. People were at home. They had money to spend. They had time to invest in themselves and their growth and all of the things. And so literally back in the day, all you had to do was show up, throw a post up on social media, and people would throw money at you. And especially if you put them in a Facebook group, like, that is just an amazing ecosystem where, oh my gosh, you have tons of people with the problem you solve hanging out in a community where you can then just literally show up and make money. And so that's kind of the old way. And what's starting to happen is the market is really shifting. And so what we're starting to see is the people have gone back to work. People have less time to buy things and invest in themselves and take the time and learn all the things. People bought from a lot of coaches that all of a sudden came to be in 2020. And unfortunately, a lot of those coaches weren't great. They didn't deliver. The clients didn't get the results that they promised. And a lot of those were charging very, very high ticket. And so you've got a lot of people in the market in terms of consumers who are feeling very burned right now. You know what I mean? And so here we have a bunch of people who can literally swipe left on every single, coach, because there's so many of them. It's so noisy because if you're a coach, you now have to be on social media and a content creator. And so you've got a lot of competition. It's very noisy. And you have a bunch of people that are very hesitant to buy because they don't want to get in the long-term commitments. They don't want to spend a lot of money, and they don't really know if they can trust you if you're going to deliver the results. And so those things that we used to do, which was just throw up the post and expect that people are going to buy from you, are not working. And what we really have to move into, which is the space that I love the most, which is the nurture space. So again, it's like really that conversation, the communication, the relationship building, the trust building. That's where you're actually going to get clients today. So it's not so much just one to many and people are going to throw money all over the place. You really have to get into the conversations. And for us, that's in the DMs, right? So
what's the difference between marketing to a Facebook group versus just right on your profile?
There's still a lot of great things. And, again, I tell people all the time, Facebook groups are not dead, and there's this like whole thing going around where people are saying that. And to be honest, I think it's the people who have not shifted with the shift of the market. They're still doing the old tactics, expecting the same results, but they're not really taking into consideration that all of these changes have happened and that they really need to kind of pivot into the new world. The only difference I would say, and I actually would use both of them, right? So we at GroupTrack, we talk about your ideal client being your yellow car. So if I were to ask you, how often do you see yellow cars driving around town? You're going to be like, not that much, right? But if I was like, Ken, every single time you see a yellow car, imagine there's a dollar sign because that's your ideal client. All of a sudden, when you start looking for them, you're going to start seeing them everywhere. And I can promise you, someone who's listening to this podcast in the next couple of weeks is going to be like, oh my gosh, I literally have seen yellow cars everywhere after they listen to this. And so here's the thing. Once you start realizing yellow cars are everywhere, you can choose to either sit on the highway and hope and pray one drives by, or you could say, wait a minute, where do the yellow cars park? Is there a convention? Do they all hang out together somewhere, right? And so what we want to do is say, where do those people park? And that is a Facebook group, right? That's at least one place that people park. And so when we can say, go in front of a complete audience full of people who have the problem you solve or the goal that you can help them accomplish, when you actually show up and make that offer, that's when they're going to throw money at you, especially because you've built that trust and the rapport and you've really kind of rocked that Facebook group and supported them in a way. The other place, though, is your personal profile. So what's interesting is that we will actually, as we're coaching our clients on strategies that are working, we would actually suggest that you fill your friends list on Facebook or your followers list on Instagram with people who are your yellow cars. Because as much as we love Aunt Martha's not buying my program. You know what I mean? And so if I just fill my friends list with people that are not actually a good fit and they're not yellow cars, all of the content that I'm posting on my personal page is going to fall on deaf ears. So we almost want to create your personal profile as a secondary yellow car parking lot so that no matter whether you're showing up on your personal page or you're doing it in your Facebook group, you are speaking to the right people. So what you'll notice is as we kind of do our strategy, which we run a specific strategy called the weekly sales formula, it is like our rinse and repeat non-negotiable way of getting the right people, the yellow cars, to honk their horn, aka comment on our content, invite them into a training and make an offer. And so what you'll see as part of the strategy that we teach, it actually incorporates posting in your Facebook group as well as on your personal profile. And so we really use a combination of the two. But I will tell you, if you are shifting and you're changing the way you're speaking, a Facebook group to me is still where it's at, like no question.
I know that you didn't just tease us with that and you're going to leave us high and dry and not tell us at all what is the 7-day content strategy, because you wouldn't do that to us, would you?
I would never. And yes. Okay. So I am happy to do that. So here's the thing, right? This is what makes a Facebook group work. How many groups have you been in where you walk in the door and two things happen? Either you're immediately DM'd with an offer, like, buy my thing, don't you want my thing? What's your pain point? How much money are you making? Like, it's crazy, right? Or people are like, I don't want to be that guy. So they do the opposite, which is nothing, right? And so what happens is you might be building this great Facebook group, but the people aren't engaged and things are just not moving. And so what we actually teach is for you to run your Facebook group like a retail store. And so I want you guys to think about this, right? If you walk into a store that is brick and mortar, what's going to happen? First, you're going to have, a name, a title of the store. Typically, you're going to see what they sell on the window. You're going to walk in, an associate is going to greet you. And here's the thing, when you walk into a store, does the associate just assume that you want to buy? Or are they first uncovering your needs? Like, hey, Ken, thank you so much for walking into the XYZ store. We're so glad you're here. What is it that brought you in? How can we support you today? And typically what you would do is you would answer. And then the associate would be like, oh, you're looking for shoes? Let's go to the shoes section, right? And they would put you with a bunch of pairs of shoes and we would try them on and do the whole thing. We take that exact same experience, and that's what we teach our clients to do with their Facebook groups. So we have our Facebook group questions that we're answering and trying to learn a little bit about them. When they walk in the door, we are DMing them and uncovering their needs. And then based on what they tell us, we're going to walk them over and put them in the dressing room with content relevant to their problem, right? So they get in front of us, they start to learn about us, they trust us, and all those things. But we don't just leave them with the content, right? Because we're tracking them in our GroupTrack pipeline, we know, hey, they're in the dressing room kind of feeling us out, set a task, follow back up and say, hey, is this something that, you like or whatever, or would you like to learn about how we can support you with it? So that's kind of like the high level strategy that we're doing inside of our community. Then on top of that, we do the weekly sales formula. So now that we've got our community really moving, they can see the level of support and service and giving of value that we're doing in the community. Now what we're going to do is kind of sift for gold, right? So we've got a lot of people in our Facebook community that may not really be ready to purchase, or maybe they're not even problem aware fully at this point. And so we do the weekly sales formula, which I'll just kind of give a high level overview. But again, if I were to point to one thing that allows us to collect over $1 million every year with a low ticket offer, a small team, and zero ad spend, this is what I would point to. So basically what we do every single Monday is we put up a social media post, which is a call to action. We call it the Monday post. Really, really good at naming things around here, as you can see, right? It's on Monday, so it's called the Monday post. So on that Monday
at least
post,
you won't get the day wrong, you
right?
never post the Monday on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So on Monday, you do a hand raiser post that is very simple. Like, we're not asking for a copywriter, right? We're like, do you have this problem? Say me, right? And so it's either going to call out people with the problem that you solve or the goal that you help them accomplish. And so we're going to put that post inside of our Facebook community.
Could you actually give us an example of, let's say, for a coach who helps people gain back another day of their week through organization, right? So what would that post be for that person?
So it could be something like, our exact template of how to run your day so that you can get a day or an hour back each day. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you're offering a lead magnet. Is that right?
Most of the time. It doesn't always have to be, but most of the time. So the other day I had one that went really, really well, which was just, who wants our chat templates that help us sell over 6 figures a month, right? So just very simple, very easy. It's like, do you want this result? Do you want this thing? Whatever it may be. So what we're doing is we're getting people to raise our hands. But as you guys may know, if you're listening, because you post on social media, and like we talked about, there's a lot of noise and a lot of people posting content now, you're not always going to get the hand raises you want. So I'm going to give you guys a ninja hack. And this is like no joke, okay? It works. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your email list. You're going to write the stupidest email, which is literally, do you want my thing, right? Like, we're not copywriting. We're not, if you want to use AI, great. But we're literally like, hey, I'm giving you this really cool thing in my Facebook group. Click here to get it. When they click here in the email, it's actually going to drop them off in your Facebook group on that exact post, right? So we're getting the algorithm moving by getting more eyeballs, more comments, more eyeballs, more and it just kind of snowballs. And so here's what's really beautiful. If the person's already in your Facebook group, they click on the link, they go to the post. If the person on your email list is not in your Facebook group and they have the problem or they want that solution, they click the link, they join your group, right? So it's a really nice way to organically get more people in your Facebook group, as well as more eyes and more comments and more honking on that post. So we do our Monday post. We drive email to it. We usually suggest an email each day, but here's the kicker. Every single email is driving them back to that Monday post because we really want to concentrate the algorithm and the eyeballs and the hand raisers. So then what we do is we actually will use our software, which is GroupTrack, to track every single person who has commented. Because here's the thing, if they are honking their horn, AKA commenting saying, I want that, or I have that problem, they are your yellow cars, right? They're literally saying, I'm yellow, I'm you, right? And so we want to track all of those leads. And so what's really cool about GroupTrack is automatically it can track everybody who's commented on the post. It can automatically like every comment, automatically reply to every comment, and automatically DM them, if you choose, to every single person who has commented. And so really great, because here's the thing. If you want people to comment, you better have a conversation back, because again, everything we teach is about being a good human. And if you and I were talking in a store and I asked you a question and you answered, I would reply, right? But it's like, for whatever reason on social media, we completely forget that. And then we just like ghost people. It's so strange. So we're going to reply, react, DM, all the things. And we're going to get into a conversation with them. Then what we're going to do is say, hey, great. Jenna, Ken, whoever, right? Whoever owns the community, they're going to be doing a live training on the strategy that goes with it this Thursday. Okay. So we're literally saying, oh, you want the lead magnet or you want this solution? Great. We're going to give it to you during our training on Thursday. And so while we're in the DMs, not only are we getting them to register for our event, but we're really uncovering their pain points. And some of the language that we use in the DMs is really great, because we're going to be like, okay, cool. So we can make sure that this training is really valuable. What are you already doing that's not working? We'll be sure to address that during the training. Now imagine if you're in the DMs with someone and they're literally telling you, Jenna, or whoever the CEO is literally going to talk about your problem that you tell us. How would that make you feel, right? You'd be like, wow, I feel served. I feel, like I'm not a number, and I better show up to that training because she's going to talk to something specifically about what I care about, right? So we're getting so much market research. Our people are feeling very served in the DMs and so forth. We get them to register for our event. They come to our live training every Thursday. Every Thursday, when we do the live training, what we're giving them is what to do, not how to do it, right? So as an example, let's say that my training is on how to have an email sequence that nurtures and converts your Facebook group. If I were to give the what to do, I would be like, have a welcome email, have another email that, gets them into your DMs, have another email that drops them off here. I'm giving you what to do, but the how to do, you have to pay for, right? That's what you get in our coaching program, which would be the templates and exactly it written for you, right? So we show up on our live training, we give them what to do, not how to do it. And then we do an offer at the end. And we're like, okay, great. Is this something that if you implemented in your life, in your business, and whatever, that you think you would get the results you're looking for? And we get people to buy in and they're commenting and it's going crazy. Like the comments are out of control, right? Because as we're doing this training, we're doing those call to actions throughout it the entire time. And so we've got all these people who've made all these micro decisions to be like, yes, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, that's good. Yes, I want to do that, right? And so at the end of it, the conversation and the question is so simple. It's just, great. Do you want to do this on your own? Or would you like to learn about what it looks like to get support so you can do it a little bit faster, better using our stuff? It's not, do you want to join our program? Do you want to buy this thing? It's just, do you want to try and figure it out on your own? Or do you want to see how you can get support? And then literally all we do is we're like, if you want to learn about our coaching, drop the word, whatever. And then every single Friday, we follow up with everybody for the week, whether you raised your hand for the hand raiser, came to our live training, commented on something, we're going to then follow up and ask if you do want to take the next step. And so we literally run that play every single week with a new topic. And again, if I could point to one thing where I think it really is working and why we've been able to have this success with zero ad spend, that would be it.
Okay. Well, you said it's a 7-day program and we've got pretty much Monday, Thursday, Friday, right?
5.
Okay. And in between is just driving people to the Monday post. And then after you do live, I assume that you're driving people to watch the replay. Is that right?
Yep. So Friday, we're automatically DMing with GroupTrack. So we'll send a DM like, hey, here's the replay in case you missed it. We're following up with everybody.
So GroupTrack takes care of that automatic follow-up then, huh?
Yep. You got it. Yep. And yeah. And so we're doing it through the DMs as well as email.
Okay. Now, I've got my own ideas about this, but I want to hear yours because I think a lot of listeners might be interested. If you're going live every week and you're offering some type of training slash, lead magnet slash, whatever it is we're going to be talking about, how do you consistently keep content fresh?
So you're going to love this, I think. So, well, I don't know. A lot of people ask this question, like, don't you think they'll get sick of hearing the same thing? So what we actually teach is a strategy that is kind of like a house, right? So if you can bear with me, I'm going to explain what it looks like. So imagine that the result that you're providing people is the roof, right? And we have to have walls to hold the weight of the roof up. Those walls represent what you have to do in order to get the result. So for example, with me, my roof would be getting clients from social media. My pillars or my walls would be, getting leads, nurturing those leads, converting them and keeping them. And so what we want to be able to do is to tell people, if you want this result, those 4 walls must be at 100%. Within those walls, right, we're like, well, how do we build those walls up so that they can actually do it? And those are the bricks or the cinder blocks. Those are the different methods. And so basically what we do is we say, okay, there's 4 pillars. Within each of the pillars, there's like 4 bricks that are going to make the wall grow, right? And so that's basically our content strategy. And so we run the play. Each month is 1 pillar. 4 weeks is 1, 2, 3, 4 cinder blocks or bricks. And then basically what we do is we do that strategy for 4 months. Once we've done it, we have every single asset we could possibly need. We've got our emails. We've got our lead magnets. We've got reels that we've repurposed from our live training. We literally have everything done. And then we rinse and repeat it every 4 months. And so here's the thing, sometimes I get the question like, don't you worry that people are going to get tired of hearing you? And I'm like, absolutely not. I want them to be like, oh, Jenna, that's the girl who talks about yellow cars, or, oh, that's Jenna. She's the one who is known for organic social. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to be like, oh yeah, I heard her say that. And here's the thing too, we've got clients and prospects that come to like so many of our trainings because they're very valuable. And the truth is, what's really beautiful about it is that when they hear it the first time, they're at this location in their business, right? Like they're maybe new or whatever. The second time they hear it, they're like, oh, because they're in a different place or they're in a different mentality. And so we want that repetition. But like I said, the most beautiful part is this. We've got 4 pillars that represent our offer. Within each, there's about 4 bricks that are going to help you build that wall up. Each brick is 1 topic of content. We just rinse and repeat it every 4 months. So it's like literally the easiest thing.
Okay. And how much time do you think you're spending in like planning, repurposing, posting, like just on the social media content as like if you put it on one big bucket? Think of it as a weekly basis.
Yeah, no, not a lot. So there are some clients of ours that want to literally build out every piece of content for their entire 4 months, right? In fact, I have a done for you client right now where I'm building his out, and it's taking me a little time to just like get every single asset from lead magnets to follow-up emails and all the things, right? But typically as our clients are learning this process and starting to kind of implement it, they'll usually just go week to week and be like, all right, cool. It's Monday. I need to do this, this, and this. We have it down to such a science that it literally does not take me hardly any time. You'll love this too. We've also created a ChatGPT that has built in every single template, every format, everything from everything I want you to say, from the script and everything. And so our clients can be like, okay, it's Monday. Here's my topic. And ChatGPT will also support you in giving you all of the assets needed. So like reality is we maybe spend about an hour. Me as the CEO, I spend less, right? I'm usually like, hey team.
But are you the one on camera?
What's that?
Like you're the one in front of the camera when it comes to your brand and your company, right?
Yeah. So I will usually tell my team, this is the topic we're going to do. Here's the lead magnet. If we don't have the lead magnet, we'll create it really quickly. And then they kind of just set up the emails, they automate. And then I show up on Thursday, do the training, make the offer on that. But I'm not even in the DMs doing the follow-up or sales. I have literally given it to my team to be like, here are the yellow cars. These are the people who have raised their hand, said they have the problem, they want a result, they're ready now. And in the live training, they said they want to learn about working with us. So when my team reaches out to those people, they're like, hey, I saw that when Jenna went live, you said you wanted to learn about getting support implementing the strategy. Would you like to get on a call? And, the beautiful thing is because we really give that white glove group service and we support people and we treat them like they're in a retail store, by the time someone ever gets on a sales call, if they do, most people just buy through the DMs, but if they do, it's a triage call. Literally, it's like, okay, when does it start? How much does it cost? When are we doing this? It's never like, we're not overcoming objections. Like, we just don't have to do that because they know us, they like us, they trust us because we show up and deliver. And the amount of service that we give inside of our community really puts them over the edge. So we almost pre-sell them through our service.
Yeah, makes sense. Hey, we got just a few more minutes left. Like your thoughts about the future. What do you see that you think is going to get phased out? And what are new opportunities should people, especially coaches, be thinking about in terms of content marketing or social media marketing in general?
Oh my gosh. Can I lovingly scream at everybody? I literally my favorite thing to tell people to stop doing is cold DMing for the love. We've seen where people got very excited because we know that DM has a much higher open rate than emails. And so people went a little wild. And so what started to happen is that there were a lot of coaches that were telling them to go into other people's groups, blind friend request everybody in the Facebook group, send them a DM that's a cold pitch. And people are so over it. And so, I'm sure you guys who are listening, you guys are getting them all the time. They don't work. They're gross. And it's just a waste, right? And the interesting thing is Meta has actually rolled out a lot of new rules in the past couple months, restricting people from being able to send mass DMs that are cold pitches if you're not connected with the person. And so sending blind friend requests to people you literally have no connection with at all, or just sending cold DMs with pitches would be my please stop doing. I very much with everything in my soul believe, and this is maybe a really big differentiator with GroupTrack and some of our competitors is yeah, we could do features to help you do that. We could, teach those strategies, but we're pretty line in the sand to say we would rather teach a strategy that really helps you be a human. And so it's interesting because we have automations, right? We do have autoresponders and we do have bulk messaging and things like that. But what we always say is that our AI and our automations actually are there to help you scale your human connection, not to replace it. And I think that's really, really important, especially as we look forward. I really think that we are going to go back to what it used to be, which is be a human, talk to humans, don't really rely on the tech to replace you, but more to enhance you and help accelerate you. And so as we're rebuilding GroupTrack, that's what our main focus has been on. And we believe, and it's so interesting because every time Meta rolls out these changes, it's always reinforcing that what we're teaching and what we're doing is right with what they want. And we really have to give Meta what they want, right? And so they want you to have engaging content. They want you to engage with people you know. They want you to not be a spammy weirdo. And so, that would be the biggest advice is just have genuine connections. But I will tell you, connect with the people who are engaging on your profile, engaging with your content, really get into the DMs with them because those people will choose you. It's very noisy, but when you are in the DMs, they will choose you.
How about in the future, 10 years from now? Where do you see the biggest opportunity? Because, now we're talking far enough in the future that, anything could happen. But 10 years from now, so it's 2034. What are we doing? Are we all with using AI goggles and or what?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. That's such an interesting question. I do believe that AI is going to be even bigger than it is now. My hope is that it still continues to be one of those things that enhances humans and doesn't replace, because that is always a fear. But yeah, I think technology is going to be in a place that we couldn't even possibly imagine, even when you show up and listen to Mark and Meta and what they're starting to build, you're just are you kidding me? So my hope is that there is really great technology, but I think what people want is not what people should have. And I think that's going to be really interesting. And it's something that we have to tiptoe around a lot. People want to just have an AI bot do all the work, all the sales, all the relationship building, all the closing in the DMs and in the Facebook groups and on your social profiles for you. I do think it will get there at some point. I just hope they do it in a way that works. And hopefully that will be part of that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
When you mentioned, I hope it doesn't replace humans, I get where you're coming from, but I also look back on technology that's replaced humans in the past. And, the net result is usually a positive, all the people out in the wheat fields, these machines replace them.
Oh, yeah.
And nowadays, a lot of things that people are doing.
For example, I can't live without. I use it every single day, but I use it to enhance.
But yet we survived until a few years ago just fine without it.
How? Well, and honestly, I even feel like GroupTrack itself is AI because it's doing stuff for you, But here's the thing. Even when I use ChatGPT, it is so me. I'm not having it write my emails. I'm not having it write my posts. I'm talking to it and we're having a conversation and I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? It's enhancing me. It's not replacing me. And that's really what I mean. My fear is that, and I don't even know, but I think it's more that, humans won't be part of the picture at all when it comes to selling. And, I want people to have relationships. I think that's my fear, and this might be a little bit broader than what we're talking about here, but, recently at my kiddos' school, they banned phones because the kids were just looking down at lunch and they didn't know how to have conversations. And so that's what I mean. I think technology's amazing. I think there are so many advantages to it. And I'm so grateful we live in a time like that. And I can't even imagine in 10 years where it's going to be. But I just hope that, we still are good humans through it.
Yeah. I think that one way you could sum that up is, I think it's fine replacing humans, but never pretending to be human. In terms of relationships, I think that's where you could draw the line. Like nobody was mistaking these, these harvester combines as humans. No, it's a machine, right? But then nowadays in the DMs, you have AI and people are trying to pass it off as humans. And that's where things get pretty gross and weird. And you have this kind of violated feeling afterwards, from that experience when even if, you thought it was a human and you realize it was all fake, like our whole relationship was a lie. And then you have this unnatural bond with something else, right? And that I can get on board with. It should not replace the human experience. It can replace human tasks, but not the human experience.
Yes, that is it. You nailed it. Replace the human tasks, not the experience. I'm going to steal that.
Go for it. Jenna, we got to wrap this up. Where should people go if they want to learn more about GroupTrack, about content marketing, or get inside of one of your super spiffy groups where they're going to see that, the 7-day content, the sales machine in action?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys want to grab a free trial, it is www.grouptrackcrm.com. Name is staying the same right now, so go ahead and find it there. And of course, you guys are welcome to join our Facebook group, which is Organic Sales System, powered by GroupTrack. So, we really want to focus on the fact that there is a strategy and there's a system that goes with the tool. And so we teach both of those inside of our community. You guys are welcome to join. Just expect that when you walk through the door, we're going to treat you like a human. We're going to connect with you. We're going to serve you. We're going to uncover your needs, and we're going to really support you in there.
Love it. Love it. If you guys ever make enough money, you should go buy track.com. Then it could be group.track.com, community.track.com. It could be all of the track, whatever, right? Now we're thinking further in the future, because I think that's at least a 7-figure domain.
Yeah, absolutely. And our goal is to be the social CRM for all platforms. So we got some big things to do in the next couple of years.
All right. Well, everybody listening, thanks you so much for sticking around to the end. Check out the links below. Check out, if you're listening on the audio, come and watch the video on the YouTube link. And here's the thing. She's talking about yellow cars. She came dressed for the theme, the topic, and you'll have to click the video to find out just what I'm talking about. Jenna, thank you so much for sharing your tactics and a lot of your story. And for everybody else, I'll see you next week.
Amazing. Thank you, guys.
No hustle, worship here, we're a different breed. Action is what we got if action is what you need. Content capitalists, we're breaking the mold. Cause the old ways fading, new stories to be told. So content capitalists, get to the prize.